We are going to be reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 2, verse 1 through 4, and then I'm going to shift to verse 8. And the word of God reads, verse 1 through 4. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. Verse 8. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. This is verse 1 through 4 and verse 8. In verse 11 and 12, the word of God reads how Herod had already sent the wise men to go search for Jesus. Once they were able to find Jesus, they worshiped Jesus, they bowed down to Jesus, and they also presented to Jesus treasures. And God appeared to the wise men in a dream, insisting that they do not go back to Herod. So they departed to the country a different route. We cannot be ignorant to the devices that the enemy uses to entrap us. We cannot be ignorant. Herod was an enemy, and Herod manipulated the wise men. Why and how did he do that? Because he told them that once they located Jesus, bring him back word so that he can worship Jesus. All along, he had a motive to harm Jesus because he was envious of Jesus. He had already accumulated hate towards Jesus. He was upset because he wanted to maintain his position as king. And he thought that Jesus was going to get in the way of his position as king. And so he had a motive to harm Jesus. But he portrayed himself to the wise men as someone who was fervent and happy about Jesus' birth. That's why we have to be very mindful of who we allow in our circle, who we allow in our presence, and who we associate ourselves with in ministry. Because there are going to be people in ministry, and there are going to be people all around you. Not every time, but there are going to be people or a person who hate you inwardly. They can't stand to see you grow. They hate that you're growing. They hate that you are succeeding in the purposes of God. They hate to see you succeeding in the gifts that God has assigned to you. But outwardly, they show love. Well, fake love, because it's not pure. It is a form of godliness. They show themselves to be someone who is happy for you. They smile in your face. They congratulate you. But inwardly, they hate to see you grow in the purpose of God. We have to be very careful and mindful of who we allow in our presence and in our circle. The word of God reads in Matthew 10:16, Behold, I send forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Even though the men were wise, they were easily manipulated by Herod. And thankfully, because of their obedience and because of their heart posture, them worshiping Jesus, God saved their life. God spared them from harm. Because of the times that you prayed, because of the times that you made sacrifices unto God, because of the times you was willing to obey God in spite of trials and tribulations and adversity, God said, I'm going to formulate a miracle just for you. He said, I'm going to create a hedge of protection that the enemy cannot penetrate. It don't matter how many people PREY on your downfall. God said, every tongue that rises up against you shall be condemned. Because of your obedience and your sacrifice and your willingness to serve me, I am going to protect you. And that's what he did for those wise men. He protected those wise men. You see, the wise men, they were light, and Herod, he's darkness. And light always reveals the darkness in people. And that's why Herod retaliated and assassinated children 2 years and younger. You see, when the enemy can't have his way and he can't seem to succeed in the schemes and the weapons that he formed but didn't prosper, he lashes out. He have tantrums. He start going crazy. Keep your heart pure in spite of opposition. Test every spirit to distinguish between good and evil, and just leave it in God's hands. For vengeance is his, he will repay, saith the Lord, in Romans 12:19. God bless, stay encouraged, and I pray that this word brings light to your life.